Okay, let's go. Let's call this meeting to order. Call the vote. Call the roll, please. Oh, I'll give you a chance. Hurry up. It was my fault anyway. I was signing all them things. I'm waiting.
Mayor Bain,
Wait. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Bain,
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Petrolanda, Councilman Best, Councilwoman Mitchell,
Here.
Councilman Zapata.
Here.
We have invocation tonight. Councilwoman Mitchell, please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for our many blessings. We ask that you watch over us here tonight at this council meeting and guide the city council and city staff and our residents to always do what's best for our beloved city of Miami Springs. Amen.
Amen.
Right hand over your heart. We'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the fire chief, he was under the weather a little bit. We were going to reschedule him for March 11th. We have a presentation about, from, who's this?
This is our outside auditors, Bernie Caballero Furman, to present the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2018, and B, the communications with those charged with governance report. I have here Mr. Enrique Llerena and Michael Quesada from the firm.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Enrique Llerena, and I served as the engagement partner. Also here today is Michael Quesada. He serves as a manager on the engagement. As William mentioned, I'm here tonight to give you a brief presentation of our reports that are included in the city's comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2018. If you turn to page 1, here you find our independent auditor's report, and I'll just walk you through this report. The first section of the report is report on financial statements, and this basically describes what we audited, and it states that we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2018. This is followed by management's responsibility, which is that management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Our responsibility as auditors is discussed in the next section, and it's basically to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. The opinion paragraph, which is also included on this page, here you see an example of an unmodified opinion, and it's the only kind of opinion that you want to be associated with. And it states that in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city. There's one new paragraph on this report for this year, and it's an emphasis of a matter. Emphasis of a matter paragraph emphasizes something that's included in the financial statements, but it is of such importance that we want to highlight it to the users and readers of the financials. This is an emphasis of a matter related to the implementation of GASB 75. This pronouncement was issued and impacts how municipalities present the other post-employment information. So this highlights and makes reference to Note 1M, which is in the footnotes, and I'll discuss briefly in a second, but it talks about the implementation of that pronouncement. The impact of this pronouncement is very similar to when GASB 68 was applied for pensions. It requires the city to record an OPEB liability, not just a funding liability, but actual an accounting liability on your government-wide financial statements as well as your enterprise funds that are a full accrual. Pages 3 to 18 include management's discussion and analysis, and this section represents exactly that, management's discussion and analysis of what happened in 2018, and it compares it to the prior year, and it explains what changed and why. So it's a very good section for the readers to read to understand what happened during the year. Page 34 of the report has that note that we made reference to in our auditor's report, and here it talks about the implementation of the pronouncement and the prior period adjustment that was recorded. Again, this is not a correction of an error. It's actually implementation of a new pronouncement that GASB issued and was effective for this year. So we had to correct and restate the financials opening net position to account for the implementation of this pronouncement. If you compare your financials to the previous year, on page 73, you're also going to see a new required supplementary information schedule. This one is required by GASB 75, and it's again related to the implementation of that pronouncement, which shows your total OPEB liability, the change that occurred during the year, and then the ending OPEB liability. The remainder of our reports included in your CAFR start on page 99. This is referred to as the compliance section. The first report in this section is commonly referred to as a Yellow Book report, which is our independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with government auditing standards. And on this report, we have an opportunity to report to the readers any findings related to internal control over financial reporting or any findings related to compliance and other matters, which other matters is defined as fraud or abuse. And I'm pleased to note that we do not have any findings to report at this time. The next report included in this section is the independent auditor's report on compliance for its major program on internal control over compliance required by the uniform guidance. The city met the requirements of a federal single audit this year, and that's why we have this report in this CAFR. I'm pleased to note that we have an unmodified opinion as it relates to compliance, and there's no findings to report over compliance that we need to present to you at this time. The final item in this section that I'm going to discuss is a management letter in accordance with the rules of the Auditor General. This is a required letter that's required to be presented and includes certain disclosures. I just want to highlight a couple. On page 108, under financial condition and management, we would have the opportunity to present any recommendations to improve financial management, and I'm pleased to note that we do not have any recommendations to bring to your attention at this time. Also here, we will disclose any findings related to noncompliance that do not rise to the level of significant deficiency or material weakness, but it's still a finding nonetheless, and I'm pleased to note that we don't have anything to report. The final item that I'm going to cover is that communication to those charged with governance that's provided at conclusion. And this is just a letter that revisits the terms. It highlights any significant disclosures, which here we mentioned the GASB 75 that was implemented this year. We mentioned that again. And then we give you a report card on management's performance, where we discuss any difficulties encountered or any disagreements that we had. And I'm pleased to note that there were no difficulties encountered. There were no disagreements. In fact, I'd like to thank William and Tammy for all their support and their staff. We couldn't have done it without them. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Does anybody have any questions? You?
I
No?
have one, but I think it's more housekeeping, I'm not sure. Mayor, if I may? On page 71, required supplementary information, Miami Springs Police and Firefighters Retirement System.
Yes.
Why do we have firefighters in there? Should it just be Miami Springs Police?
It used to be.
We used to have firefighters. So,
Firefighters, and that's still the name.
of the retirement
That's
system,
for the
okay,
retirement.
all right, thank you.
That's it? Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we go to 4C, the yard of the month. Charlie? Sure.
Good to see you.
Okay, come on over here. This is a certificate of recognition presented to Charlie and Donna Hernandez of 769 Pinecrest Drive for their home being designated as Yard of the Month for March 2019. Presented this 25th day of February 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
You got it.
Can I say a quick word? Do you mind? I won't take long because I know everything is timed. Just a couple of notes. I don't take this lightly. Thank you, buddy. I don't take this award lightly. I've been a resident of Miami Springs for a very long time. I'm very proud of all the residents, all the umpiring I've done, along with Bob himself and all the council here. I'm very happy with the job you're doing, by the way, and the closeness we have with the community. It's a very important thing. So to wrap it up, like I said, I'm happy to receive this award. I'm glad that the Park and Parkway Committee notices that we use drought-resistant plants, no pesticides, no sprinkler systems, no chemicals, and we hope that this continues to incite the same environmentally friendly yards to other residents as well as other cities. And that concludes my speech, and thank you very much for the award.
Charlie, good.
Thanks for asking.
Okay. Open forum, did we have anybody sign up?
No speakers.
No speakers? Okay, we go on to 6A, council meeting, February 11, 2019, regular meeting. Need a,
Motion to approve minutes from February 6th as
Second.
written.
call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Petrolano.
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, no public hearings, none tonight. We got the consent agenda, 9A and B. Does anybody want to pull any discussion on these agenda items? No? Go ahead and read them. We'll do what we have to do.
Recommendation by Public Works, the council authorize the issuance and/or execution of a purchase order to Metro Express utilizing Miami-Dade County under contract number RPQ number 2017-0179, which is attached in amount not to exceed $50,000 for the repaving sidewalk repairs within the city as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 18-19 budget. 9B is a recommendation by Recreation that council approve an expenditure to Catering by Joel's on an as-needed basis in the amount of $20,000 for catering services for various citywide events such as the Daddy-Daughter Dance, the Senior Holiday Party, the Employee Holiday Party, and the Miami Springs Police Department dinner. After obtaining 3 written quotes, as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 18-19 budget.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to move consent
Second.
items. I have a
Call.
question.
Go ahead.
I do. So, item 9B, this company, I know that this was approved in terms of the things that came in and the budget that they presented, correct? So, are we considering any of the feedback that we're getting from some of these events? Just, or do we base a decision solely on the amount that they're presenting to us?
Well, I think all of the parties so far that, that they have are very well perceived. The daddy-daughter goes without I mean, that's well attended.
No, I know it's
They
well
love-
attended, but in terms of the catering, I had some calls from residents and they were like not happy.
Oh,
So
no?
I didn't know who it was that was doing it. I've been to the police, whatever the dinner, it's been very good. So I don't know, I thought actually that it was a different caterer, that's why.
No, it is
that
the
had
same
done that.
caterer, so it's the same one.
Okay.
You'd like to look into different caterers for the Daddy-Daughter Dance next time? Is that what you're saying a little bit? How did that come about?
Hopefully,
It's held by us.
by whoever the operator is.
Right.
And hopefully, by next year, we'll have a new
Right.
operator in place.
Right, and so it's not as much that, I guess that another thing then is to, and I'll say it later, it has to do with the progress we're making with the country club, that's all.
Okay, I got a first and a second, correct?
You do, sir.
Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Petrolano. Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. We go to, no old business, we go to 11A, Recreation.
This is a recommendation by Recreation Department. The council approve an extension of the contract with Jazzercise Inc. for an additional 1-year period. I'm gonna correct this because it's in an amount of $3,600 that the program will be paying the city for the Jazzercise program. So that it wasn't anything needed to be budgeted, so
Well,
that
the
was.
revenues were budgeted.
The revenues were budgeted, but, so I'm just correcting that one. And then, 11B, recommendation by public.
Well, we're
Okay.
doing this one first.
Sorry, go ahead.
So all we're doing is allowing them to use the facilities for
For another year.
$3,600.
For another year.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a.
Motion to
I need a
move, sir.
motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Petrolano.
Yes.
Aye.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes, we go to B, recommendation, Public Works.
This is a recommendation by the Public Works Department. The council approve an interlocal tree planting reporting agreement with Miami-Dade County in the amount of $15,000 for planting 38 new trees citywide, if awarded a grant from the 2019 Neat Streets Miami Street Trees Matching Grant. The grant is a 50% match of approximately $30,000. So if awarded, funds will come from our tree planting budget, which were budgeted $25,000 for the fiscal year 18-19 budget.
So we got a $5,000 shortfall there?
Yeah, it
So
seems-
we're gonna get 15,000 from them, and then we have to match it with 15,000 from the 25
Right.
that we have budgeted.
Oh, okay.
For the total of
I thought
30.
it was 30,000, she said. I've heard it that way.
Yeah, it's 30 there.
I was heard that we had to give 30,000, but we only have to
But
give
we have to spend 30,000, we have to spend 15 of city funds and 15 from the grant.
Okay, I don't know if it's written that way. We understand?
Motion to move this item, to approve.
I'll second it.
Bob, you got it.
It's okay.
I know you're sleepy.
Nearly 50,000.
Call the vote, please.
Just want to say something, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that it was a good thing that we did allocate that money, because it was kind of a lot of discussion during the budget that we didn't want to put the money into that account. And finally we did, and I just want to I want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm glad we did it. If not, we would have been short
Yeah, it really kind of played right into our hand, yeah.
Sorry?
As a result of this, it kind of played right into our hand.
Well, it was wonderful too that the city is reaching out
Yes.
to these organizations
Yeah.
like Neat Streets, which has got their goal is Million Trees Miami, to plant 1,000,000 trees in
How often have we
Miami.
done this, Tom?
This is the first time with this group.
This group?
Mm-hmm.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Petrolanda,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. We go to discussion of the savings from the election,
Yes, Mayor.
$48,000.
Attached to your, to this memo is an email from the city clerk's office showing the total savings from not holding an election this fiscal year, for a total of about $48,000. Staff requests council guidance on how we prefer to use these additional funds. Staff has come up with some options as follows. Number one, add these funds to our general fund balance for future use. Or number two, add these funds to our CITT fund to partially replenish the $63,000 of CITT funds used to do the Westwood paver project. We can then have these funds available for future projects that are in the pipeline, such as number one, using pavers to improve the parking soil area across from Harvest Move. We're waiting for county approval. The cost is estimated at about $12,000. Or using the funds for the creation of the new circle crosswalk that the county recently approved. And that's about $5,500. The remaining funds can be used for sidewalk repairs citywide. In addition, I have Omar here because we talked about this afterwards, and he was planning for in next year's budget to include lighting at Stafford Park. Certain areas of Stafford Park where people walk, there have been residents complaining to Omar about how dark it is at night. So Omar was planning to bring this up to next year's budget, but if council wants to move that up, he has gotten estimates of around $18,000. We still have to get bids, two other bids on that. But Omar's here in case you have any specific questions about that fund.
All right, my idea was to replace the CITT fund, since we took the 66,000. In reality, putting that 48 back in there comes to the cost of what it was, 22,000, if I remember correctly, if we did the pavers and replenish the pavers. That was my thought. And then the couple things that we have to do with the CITT, if we get for the walkway and so on. But I didn't know anything about this 18,000 for lighting on Stafford Park. So that's something, if we want to put 18 in the general fund for that and then put the rest in the CITT, I'll go with it. But my thought was to replenish CITT for the things that we have to do.
Here, I apologize, William, I didn't get a chance to call you and ask you about my request for the police department.
As Vice Mayor guess when he drove around with the police a few weeks ago, one of the officers mentioned that it would be nice to have some type of system where the city can monitor where these cars are at all times. I asked the chief about it. I know they were looking at it for next year's budget. They're looking at various options. Mainly this is putting GPS in the cars, correct?
There's a couple of options. There's GPS systems, vehicle locators that can go in the cars. There's GPS systems that can go in the laptops. So it just is a matter of researching which is most beneficial to us.
Let me tell you how this came about. Real quick, we were on 36th Street, and there was a car that went by, and one of the lights were off, and the tag had a film on it. So he pulled him over. So we're behind the car, and he calls in the tag, and the tag didn't come back. It came back like it didn't belong to anybody. So I asked him, if there's something happens here, do they know where we're at? And the answer was no. And I said, is that a good idea? And the officer says, no, it's not a good idea, because if that guy comes out shooting and we don't know where he's at, or if there's any kind of emergency that we need to specifically know where a car is at any time, we don't know. We have to start searching for this car. So to me, it's a safety issue to the police officer.
I thought it was standard operating procedure that when someone is pulled over like that, that they immediately identify with dispatch.
Right, but how about if you're just driving and somebody shoot? I don't know. To me, it's an issue. We should know where all these cars are at in 2019. We should know where everyone is at in case we need to go out and help them. To me, it's a safety issue.
True, but to answer Councilman Best's question, yes, when we stop a vehicle, give the tag and location of where we're stopping it. But in another situation where we're just following, there's different technologies that we're looking at. Like I said, either the automatic vehicle locators, which Federal Express, UPS, they have it on their vehicles. Other police departments have it. And there's also technology that can be put into the laptop, so it's either one.
How expensive would this be?
It takes some software and hardware installation on the cars, so it can get a little pricey.
More than 18,000?
I would, just off the top of my head, not having priced the different companies, probably at least more than that, yes, for the fleet of the cars.
Maybe we would have had. I've been really busy, so I really haven't been able to reach out to the city manager regarding this, but I was hoping to have a figure tonight so we can at least.
Well, I've reached out to several companies. I'm waiting for some quotes. I'd be glad to send it to you through the city manager as soon as I get them.
To me, it's a safety issue for our officers. It's just the way I see it. And I think we owe it to them to, in case of an emergency, we need to know where they're at so we can go help them. That's all I have.
Okay.
I'd like to say something. So my first inclination here was to go put the money back in the CITT funds. But I also, in hearing about Stafford Park, we need to understand that that park is located in an area where those residents out there don't feel that they're really part of Miami Springs, and in many ways they've come up here with other issues in terms of traffic and how they're really closer to Lejeune. And that park is a nice park that probably there are people that are not using it in the evening because of the lack of lighting. So, I mean, I'll go with whatever the council, but I think it would be a good idea also to
Well, do you
consider
have,
that.
well, remember, you're in the same position I am. I didn't know about this
Right.
situation. I thought replenishing the CIT and some of the things that Mr. Nash, they want to do with it. Do you have a firm price, or you're still quoting it out?
Well, we have an original, a preliminary estimate from Computer Electric of 18,420. But even though they're our city electrician, on anything over $5,000, we can go out to bid.
I think, okay.
What I want to do is get two more bids.
Okay, then I propose that we go ahead and set the $18,000 aside, put the rest of it back into the CITT, and then when he comes up with a legitimate quote, we'll see how much out of that 18 we have to spend. Do I have?
Through the chair,
Yes.
if I might, sorry. Every time this happens, and you guys know what I'm talking about, every year after year after year, well, something will happen, and all of a sudden, hey, here's 50 grand, hey, here's 60 grand, here's this, here's that. And everybody's, next thing you know, it's not there anymore, just because everybody's got idea, oh, let's do this, let's do it. I'd like to just see the money go into the community chest like choice A was.
Oh,
The only advantage,
the general account.
the general fund, yeah. I'd just like to see it just rolled right over into that, because we seem to be all over the map here on different projects.
Well,
and
I
not to say.
disagree with you. I mean,
Well, there
as
was like
far
4 different projects just brought up.
but that was within the CITT fund that we were gonna use
Yeah.
anyway.
What
You know,
advan-
in other words, in my mind,
no,
we
and I
took
respect
it
you.
out of that, we should put it back.
Right.
And then as far as we took it out, in my opinion, we got the money to put to replenish it back.
Okay.
Now that this situation comes up about the lighting, if you want to set that aside into the general fund, I have no problem with that.
Right. Right.
But I don't see putting it in the general fund.
Oh,
It's
I guess.
CITT money that comes from tax dollars that we should replace. In
What
my
do we have left in our quota for the year, for the fiscal
opinion.
year?
The CITT.
Uh-huh.
You gotta ask the manager.
How much do we have left in that right now?
I have to do the numbers right now with the projects.
What's the propensity of any other projects coming our way in the next X number until until budget time, that would necessitate use of more CITT money?
Listen, I'll entertain a motion, whatever you guys make a motion for.
So let me ask you, the money to pay for the election comes from the CITT money?
No.
No, general
That's
fund.
what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, it's coming out of, so we gotta we gotta put it back in there. But if it's not, maybe you put it back in the general fund.
I'd like to make a motion that we put aside the $18,000, and for this, and wait till we get the quote, and then put the rest into the CITT.
Do I have a second? Okay, it falls without a second.
Mayor, I still have some questions I would like to ask about this. If we put the money in the general fund, we can put it back into CITT or no? Once it goes into general fund, it can't be?
Sure, good.
We can, so that's always an option.
Yeah.
If we were to put it in general fund. The other thing is, do we have GPS, or some other similar technology to monitor the locations of our other fleet, like our Public Works fleet? Okay, so perhaps what I'd like to request is that we look at that as a whole picture too, because it's a good idea to have GPS on all of our fleet vehicles. And there are a lot of companies now that do that for municipalities for all of your vehicles, so if we could get just some quotes on that or get an idea on that, and then the police by itself, so we know the difference. I think if we're gonna do one, we may be able to do the whole. And realistically, if the safety issue is just as important, you know, for any of our other vehicles that are out, you know, our permitting vehicles that go out to a place to issue a notice and, you know, don't come back and we're not sure they had a series of places to go to. So,
Yes, I was just gonna say that this is
Perfect for
something for budgeting for next year, what we're talking about.
So I'd
But
like to
this
make a
money that
motion.
we have right now is something that's within this budget. And that's why my position was, as the councilwoman's position is, to put it back in to replenish the CITT. And now that the issue about lighting in Stafford, I'm willing to put that in the general fund for, until we get a quote though. I'm not gonna just go ahead and say spend 18,000. We need 3 quotes.
Okay, may I make a motion?
Sure.
So we roll it back into the general fund? I'd like to make a motion that we roll it back to the general fund.
Okay, do I have a second?
You have a second, Mayor.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Petrolanda?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
yes.
Councilwoman Zapata?
No.
Mayor Bain?
No. All right, we have anything from the city attorney tonight?
Just get clarification on something now. So the 12,000 for the pavers and the 5,000 for the crosswalk.
That will have to come out of the CITT fund the way it stands. That won't come, unless you bring it up and these individuals want to take it out of the general fund.
And we pursue Stafford Park lighting.
We pursue that,
And we-
yeah, and then you're gonna have to come back to council if the CITT money's funding isn't there for the things that we're trying to do downtown. You have to represent it to us, and then we'll allocate it out of the general fund evidently. That's
Back
what they
into
want to do.
CITT.
Yeah, it's clean.
I would like to request that those of us in the council go out by Stafford Park in the evening so that you see exactly what we're voting on and not, and the need. Just,
We're doing that.
no, I understand, but I'm thinking that you should go out in the evening to see, because we care so much about parks in our city and all of that, that I think it really, we need to do that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a letter from a man there, Rick Doles, who I met out there, and we went over everything. And I'm gonna get together with Omar and the manager and present what besides the lighting of some of the things that might, but I'm looking at that out of the budget for next year. I'm not
Yeah, I
looking to
agree.
go out of the budget this year.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we get
Okay.
time to research and all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I agree.
Do you have anything for us, Manager?
No, just congratulations to all of you for qualifying without opposition, re-election, whatever you want to talk about it. It's been very productive 22 months, and even though you all are technically in your terms for another couple months, I certainly look forward to continuing to work with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank
all I
you.
got.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. We go on to the manager.
I want to echo the sentiments from the city attorney and congratulate all of you on being on the board for the second time in city history.
I heard it's the third time.
Second time.
I was
Last
told,
time was
83.
83.
I've heard that the first council in 1926. I'm
Well,
just
somebody-
technically, it's the third time.
Yeah, but somebody had to run to be starting.
No, they got elected for the
Right,
first council,
right.
but nobody ran against them this first election.
I think it was like 26 votes or something.
All right.
It was. You saw? Did you read that thing?
I'm just being, boy, you can't even tell the truth around here anymore.
Ah!
I feel like I'm up there at the big time.
I also want to congratulate
It's 3 times.
Councilwoman Zapata on the new addition to the family.
I'm a grandmother.
Thank you, thank you.
She worked so hard she couldn't get up in the morning, go anywhere the next morning.
I just want to give council an update on some projects that are in the pipeline. The senior center, we plan on issuing the RFP for construction in mid-March. Probably bring a council recommendation in April, and construction to begin at the end of May. The food and beverage RFP, Dan is putting the final touches on it. We should be advertising that one next week. The boat ramp, the gate is being manufactured, so as soon as that's ready, that the new gate will be installed at the boat ramp. You'll notice the Westwood paver project is complete. Tom is working on, we removed all the benches. We're refurbishing all the benches, and we'll be probably installing them probably this week, next week. And as we mentioned before, we're working with the county on getting approval for the pavers in the parking area and for the crosswalk. One last thing, Hannah Key from the senior center is working, has been working with the New World Symphony, and it looks like on April 17th, between 2 to 3 p.m., they're going to be at the Rebecca Sosa Theater performing for the seniors, for the children in the rec center, and we're going to open up to the community.
Excellent.
That's excellent.
Excellent.
That's good.
That's going to be
Very
exciting.
nice.
That's all I have.
Yeah, there's a few events on the February 28th. The Curtis Mansion has a public speaker on building South Florida at 7 p.m. On March 2nd, there's the board gaming at the rec center at 12 noon. On the 5th of March, there's our monthly visit from State Senator Manny Diaz in the council chambers here at 11 a.m. And that same day, Curtis Mansion has a deadline for a 300 to 500 page essay for Curtis Explorers Essay Contest.
How old do you have to be to get into that?
I think it was ages 13 through 15.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
Why? Nothing.
There's a lot of things on the internet you
may
can
not
copy.
I was waiting for some kind of an endorsement there.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you very much. We'll go with the oldest one here. Councilman Best, you have anything for us today?
Isn't he wonderful? Well, I'd just like to echo. I certainly appreciate the accolades from the attorney and the manager toward this election, but most importantly, thank you to all of you for really supporting us. Can't say it any simpler. Supporting us, supporting what we've done for the last 2 years, and with the hope that we'll continue to do the same with the 2 years to come that we were just granted another term for. So thank you very much. That's all I have, sir.
Councilman Mitchell.
Yes, I just wanted to echo on Councilman Best, what he said, to thank the community for allowing us. I think we make a really good team up here. We don't always agree, but that's how it should be. And for allowing us the opportunity to serve you for another term and work together to finish a lot of the projects that we've been working on and create new ones. So thank you for that very much. And the other thing I wanted to say is we were in a very nice position this evening to have the windfall of deciding what to do with extra money.
It's
So that was
time.
great. That was a nice
good-
problem to have.
Good feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to spend it. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I'd like to request that for next meeting, we have an update on the country club. I want to thank our city attorney for going over with me some of the efforts that the city has made. I think that it's been very wise to look at other country clubs and other successful places to get an idea of what we're thinking about doing here so that the next RFP is solid and we get something, of quality. I'm asking this because the Rotary meets there every Wednesday, and I did present to them what you said, and they were very pleased. But I'd like to be able to say, at what point are we going to move forward with it, because it's what's happening there now is not ideal. So just an update on what the city's doing.
Well, as I mentioned in my update before, Dan's putting the final touches on the RP, and we're going to advertise next week.
Oh, great. I missed that somehow.
I did too. I don't think he said it.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Because I told them it'll happen within the month, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Construction of the senior center that you talked about starting, is that going to be true to the plans that were shared when they came and did the presentation?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Grandma.
One more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I know that we talked about the boat ramp, and I know that we're getting ready to have that fully, for use. And somebody came to me with a question the other day, one of the residents, about the water quality there. Is there any measure of the water quality there? We're going to have maybe young people going on paddle boards or something on there. Has anyone looked at that? Who manages that? Who's responsible for that? Just
That waterway is controlled by South Florida Water
Management.
And it's not really meant for swimming.
No.
I swim in there all my life. Never bothered me any.
They told us when we asked about the boat ramp, and I can tell you what I know. When we had inquired or had called them about the boat ramp, was the boat ramp available? It's there. And they said it's always been available. The reason that it was closed off is they didn't want vehicles, trailers, to back up into it, but that they consider it a recreational waterway for use for small boats to be used. They don't recommend fishing, swimming in there because there's things underneath. There might be like fallen logs and things that might be, but as far as canoes and kayaks, which is what we have it for, and I think we have a sign that says no swimming on there.
Well, we can say no swimming, but if a child falls into it from the paddleboard or whatever, I'm just concerned about the liability in terms of the city.
Yep.
That's all. I just want us to be, to know how to respond to that.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Councilman Petrolon.
It's just going to be an honor to serve the residents of Miami Springs for 2 more years. And also it's going to be an honor to work with you folks for 2 more years, our last term, the mayor and mine. And I want to congratulate Councilwoman Zapata for her new addition to the family.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Welcome. That's all I have, Mayor.
First of all, the function that was at the Virginia Gardens, Miami Springs Virginia Gardens Soccer, Spencer over there does a great job. It's always a nice deal, nice recommendation. I wish next time maybe we could all be there, see it. Councilman Petrolon was there, but it's really nice to see all the volunteer people who do the coaching and everything like that. It's really nice. And Spencer, there's something else that sometimes I wish some of the things around here could be done like that, like they do over there. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to Councilwoman Zapata. I know that she worked hard when her daughter-in-law was having a baby. It was so she was inside there, right? You're inside there?
I was in the birthing room with her mother, sitting like holding each other like this, just
Did you have to
watching.
wear a mask?
No,
No, you
just It's not like that anymore.
Better check the purity of that air if you didn't have that mask on.
Listen,
This meeting's adjourned.
Purity of the air.
William,
you are something else.
New World, yeah.